All right. Hey, welcome back for segment 2 with Cheno Echevarria. See,
Let's
I got
go.
it right. Thank you. Buenos noches. I don't even know what that
Why
means.
would you ruin?
I don't know what that means. It has something to do with
bad
nachos.
about my mom, dude.
That is not.
Told you,
No,
man.
it's not.
Golly,
Nah,
this
bueno
guy.
means good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does
The
noches
rest of it is
mean?
bad.
What does noches
You
mean?
can't say that in
Did I?
Spanish. That's a bad word. You have to edit that. Philip, make sure you go beep when he says that. Goodness gracious, this guy, bro.
Okay.
Get off TikTok, John. Get off TikTok.
All right. I'll speak to you in Arabic instead. Man, what a great first segment. Just talking about unpacking your testimony and what God has done. You mentioned, too, just going through school and talking to Rich Sr. about church planting.
Yeah.
And so I know the story. Again, unpack. Why Atlanta? If you're leaving Miami and coming, why did you guys want to plant there?
Yeah, it was a funny story. We were in a space, I think, where we were, there was a lot of dust. I will say that. There was a lot of dust. Pastor Rich's son had stepped in and started VU Church. And so we were kind of in the process helping with all of that. Just hit it. We were in the process helping with all of that. And then from that, we stayed obviously with Dad at Trinity Church in Miami, working through all of that stuff. I think in that season, there was something inside of me that really wanted to outreach. I wanted to go back into the evangelistic world. Before I had went there, I had traveled a little bit with music and preached. And so I kind of wanted to step back into that world. But I was torn. I had my kids that were at that time 6 and 7 years old. So I was 6, 7. And so I was looking at them and I was thinking to myself, like, man, I really don't want to be living out the suitcase in these years with them. And so but at the same time, I didn't want to plant a church. I didn't want to be, which is hilarious because here's the 19-year-old kid inside of me that was like, I want to do this forever. But something switched in me where I was like, I don't think I want to. I got an opportunity presented to me that was beyond anything that you can imagine. It was all the finances you need to be able to do the church. You run the church. I'll take care of all the finances. I just want to do something to give back. And so I remember having that opportunity presented to me and thinking to myself, like, yo, this is a cheat code. All the money. Could you imagine right now if you had all the money to be able to plant a church, sustain a church, and not have to worry about it? And this guy had it at that time. God told me no, but it was a bait and switch. It was a moment that it was, well, I didn't want to plant a church, but now I'll plant it if you're giving me all the money. And then God was like, no, you're planting it and I'm not giving you the money. And you're still going to do what I asked you to do.
Wow.
My kids were at the forefront at that moment. And so I did not want to go back to living in Miami. I'll say it this way. We gave blood in Miami and I didn't feel indebted to do anything else. Okay. Me and my wife, I was in 12 different schools. My wife was in 22 schools teaching. I was doing First Priority, a form of kind of FCA.
Yeah.
And my wife was teaching. We had a federal grant that we were teaching abstinence first of all, but then also, lifestyle, healthy lifestyles. Yeah. And so, all that comes with that. Well, you're talking 9 schools. You're talking 700 cases of HIV. This is what my wife is dealing with. So you're talking about teachers having conversations with students and their sexcapades. I grew up in the school system. If you go to a public school or a private school, there's a very thin line. There's not a lot that separates them. So I thought about my kids and I was like, where can I take them to somewhere where they can get a good education? We can continue to preach the gospel, but I'm focused on my children. I have a relationship with God first. I have a beautiful relationship with my wife. And third is my kids. The church comes after that. And so I thought about my kids and some opportunities presented itself. There were some people who moved up here to Georgia, originally in Woodstock is where we were going to plant the church at. And they told me, and we did some research on the schools. We loved it, loved everything about this city. And that's how we made the decision. So in that, there was a big God moment where we thought Woodstock, 27 days into a fast, right? 7-day fast. I'm going to say this in 30 seconds. Watch this. 7 days, probably not. 7 days into a 7-day fast, 24 hours into this fast, God gave me 3 different words. I walk into the church as a college director for Southeastern University and a youth pastor for VU Youth. And so as I walk into the church, one girl tells me, I had a dream with you. And she tells me you were sitting in a chair, a light hits you, seed falls out of your pocket because you say, I can't be here anymore. You get up, a seed falls out your pocket and immediately begins to grow. I don't know what that means, but God is telling me that whatever you plant is going to grow. So praise God. Thank you. Walk away from there, go into our 5 o'clock staff chapel. When we go, to a team rally. When we go to the team rally, another lady pulls me to the side, said, I have to be obedient. God told me to tell you, don't worry about the finances. He's going to give you the finances. He'll increase your finances. The next day, I'm in my office and I get a call from one of my youth leaders. He tells me, I had given him some balloons and I told him, hey, fill these balloons up, put them on a table for the youth table and keep them out in the lobby just to kind of create a decoration. Well, talking to a girl, he begins to literally fill every single balloon up. And in that moment, he was like, I didn't know if you told me 5 or all 50. And so it was a leadership moment. Don't assume, just ask me, call. But he says, can I come to your office? I said, yeah. He comes to my office the next day with a helium tank. I said, why do you have the helium tank? He's like, I know you don't want the helium tank. And I know that you weren't mad about the balloons yesterday. But when I walked away from you, God told me I needed to buy you a helium tank. And I said, what? He says, yeah, I went to Walmart. And he said, Cheno, the moment that I grabbed my helium tank, God literally told me, people are not going to build it because people will make mistakes like I made mistakes, but God is going to build it. It's not going to be people. You got to put your attention on God. He's going to be the one that builds it. And he handed me that, hit him with the praise God. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like nothing happened. He walks out the room. I'm like doing backflips, like, God, this is in 24 hours. God has spoken to me, which at the time, the only person that knew what we were thinking through was my pastor. If this would have got out, it gets weird in large churches. You know what I mean? So it wasn't something that we could just share with everybody. But in 24 hours, 3 different words were telling us you're moving to Georgia. So that wasn't 30 seconds, but whatever.
Well,
yeah.
So for the guy or the gal that's watching right now that's thinking about planting a church.
Yeah.
And because what you're doing, you're kind of laying out that this was a God thing. Yeah. It was a God moment.
Yeah.
For the one that's considering doing this, what advice would you give them if they're in the early stages of God stirring their heart? Totally. What would you say to them right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna look, Philip. I'm gonna look right into this camera right here. You ready? I don't know if you can zoom in to my eyes and listen to me. Listen to me. Ready? Don't do it. Best advice I could give you, but I'm just kidding. Really not kidding. There is a segment, a group of people right now, and in the 2013, budding up to that kind of 2020, right before the pandemic, there was a group of people that church planting, it was eye candy. So what they saw was the purple and blue lights. Yeah. They saw, I wanted to say it differently. I saw the blue and the purple lights and in the churches and the LED screens. And what happened was that started to create the Instagram of seeing 3 heads just in a different angle that looked like 30 heads. It started to create this desire in people where friends of mine that I know, you have no business planting a church, decided, hey, I can start this thing. And we are in this media or this information overload society that you can research it used to be a time when you used to read the Bible, and if you didn't understand it, hey, Pastor John, can you talk to me about this? Because I'm trying to figure it out. Now you can ask ChatGPT, give me the Pentecostal version of this. Give me the Baptist version of this. Give me the Presbyterian. Give me the old ancient Septuagint version. What does this mean from there? And you can literally do everything without having this one-on-one conversation. And I think what's happening is that a lot of people are processing these thoughts of this call that God gives them in a vacuum, and they're on their own. And they're making decisions that honestly, man, God didn't call you to do that. God called you to be an incredible father. He called you to be an incredible number 2 man, an operations director. You will rock it as a kids person. You would write curriculum. You will change the game. You will have conferences leading children. But then there's some calls that are different. There is Jonah. You're going to Nineveh. You can go in a Uber, a whale. You can go in a Lyft, buddy. You can jump on John's back. You're going to Nineveh. And I think you don't have to fight that. Actually, you run from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think when I talk to people, the more that I can hear them running from the call, the more that I know, oh yeah, this is for you. And I think we have to be safe in our skin to know I don't need to be pressured into something. I don't need to be told this is the next. As an urban kid from the streets of Miami, the progression of every single young person, 25 and under, when they give their life to the Lord, you have to become either a youth pastor or you have to become a rapper, a Christian rapper. You have to be Lecrae. And it's like, what would it look like if I was managing the rappers? What if I was just an event promoter? What if God just called me to have an incredible landscaping company where I could witness to employees and bring people out of prison and give them jobs that nobody else gives them? I think we've shut down because it's so appealing. It's eye candy. Yeah. It's so appealing to do what we think is pastoring is at the top of the list. And you don't understand. I can't do my job. There's no way that I can do my job without the individuals that I have under me. I have people that are secure in the places that they are, that if they weren't there, I would suck because I have strengths. I have strengths. I feel like I have strengths, but man, I have glaring weaknesses. I have holes in my life. There's things that I cannot do. I have people that step into those holes and it feels like Voltron or Power Rangers for some of the other key people. You know what I mean? It's like, it just matches. And church planting isn't about you and your personality and what you saw on Instagram or TikTok. It's about gathering.
But Cheno, I'm mad at my pastor. So therefore God must be calling me to go plant a church. I'm mad at him. I'm mad at the board. I'm sorry.
I like it.
Well, but here's the thing is that there's a reason 80% of church plants fail. 80%. That's the thing we don't talk about a lot. 80% of new church plants fail. That means there's a 20% success rate. So is it because God didn't call them, or is it because maybe something else occurred, or all these other contributing circumstances? I would say that church planting is not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. But what you just said, you got to know that you're called to it. You're called to Nineveh. You are called to Nineveh, and it is going to be a very difficult process. It is not easy. Nah. But it also, the payoff, though, if you are called to it.
Oh, my gosh, so fulfilling, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything
So
else.
Tell us what's going on with Greater Church now.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing anything else but this here.
And what year did you plant?
2016.
Okay, 4 years before the pandemic.
4 years before 2017. We moved here in 2016.
Yeah. Okay, 2017.
So 2017, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think they're just to kind of just bridge that conversation. You're upset with your pastor and you think that you have a better way. I would say this so that you can properly know if church planting is something that God has put inside of you. Number one, I think you in the multitude of counsel there is wisdom, right?
Yep.
And so there is these conversations that you can have. When I'm at my best, what do you see? What do you think? What gifts do I possess that that I don't even see in myself? I think having people in your life to do that. But man, I think it was Chris Hodges that he coined this phrase: for you to discover your destiny, you have to understand your design. And I don't think we're equipping church planters to really deal with them. I think we're giving them the tools to go raise money. We're giving them the tools to lead a team. But bro, you haven't dealt with the fact that since you were 13 years old, you haven't been able to shake pornography. And you've been dealing with this stuff on and off for a while. Yeah. And so now you think that church planting and having a call on your life is going to intensify the strength inside of you, and it's going to diminish the flesh in you. And what you don't understand is that the target just becomes that much bigger.
Yes.
The weight, the weariness, the fact that you're carrying something and that you're carrying other people's lives. And you used to be able to say, I quit and I'm just going to stay home. But you can't now because you're carrying other people that they're literally relying on you.
Yes.
It changes the game. And so I think that having a therapist is not horrible in your life. I think working through soul care, working through your identity issues, through some of your past hurts, healing some wounds, you need to forgive your pastor. You need to have a conversation and tell him, I hate you. Like, I really don't like.
Wait! Don't have that conversation that I hate.
But
I
think telling him.
How about I've got some issues we need to talk about.
Yeah. So I thought about stabbing you last week, but I did it because here's the truth. Here's the truth. I'm carrying stuff in my heart that I need you, number one, to be aware of it. Yeah. But as my pastor, I need you to not just understand it, but I need you to help me to heal from this. Yeah. God called you in my life. And that's the other part. I don't think we really have any more spiritual fathers.
Okay. Can I get on my soapbox on that for a moment? Come on. Not every attempt to hold you accountable is abuse. Did I say that out loud? I think I did.
Accountability is not abuse.
Yeah. Well, not every attempt. And so when we carry, I've seen this happen so much in ministry, is I've got a young leader or a leader, and they don't have to be young, but they're carrying this deep wound from ministry or something along those lines. And when they begin to unpack it to me, and it's not that I'm trying to minimize in any way. Wounds are wounds. Feelings are feelings. You can't control them. Okay. Wounds are wounds. But sometimes it's like, well, I don't know that they were trying to wound you as much as they were possibly trying to either hold you accountable, get you to do better, get you, and so maybe you took it that way. I don't know that that was their intention, but if let's assume that it was, you forgive, you release that, and you move on. If I held to my heart all the horrible things that have been said to me over the last 34 years of full-time vocational ministry, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
You get told all kinds of things. You can't live in that wound. Jesus will carry our wounds for us. He heals our broken hearts. And so don't live there. Don't build a house or a monument to that.
Yeah.
And there are times when my pastor growing up, early in ministry, they were pretty harsh and pretty hard. Now, it was a different school of leadership.
Yep.
They were very direct. It was the post-Depression era, post-World War II generation, the early boomers that were very harsh and very direct. And sometimes those things hurt. Okay. But it wasn't their intention. Their intention was for me to do better.
Absolutely.
Do better. Change this about you. And so what we have now is, sometimes we want to go do a new work, when really we just haven't dealt with the stuff in our heart.
We got to do the work in ourselves.
Exactly.
That was my whole point. It's just you got to look inside before you start thinking about outside.
Yeah.
But what if I told you, John, you're not a real Christian? What if I said you're a protege, you're working under me, and I'm helping you, I'm discipling you, and I'm training you, and in the middle of a conversation that you ask me a question, and I'm like, you're not even a real Christian. Mm. Like, what if I just offended you like that? Like, you're fake. You're of the world.
Well, that hurts,
and
man.
would be offended. And so think about Jesus. Do you still not have faith? How long do I have to deal with you? Like, some of these people would hear stuff that Jesus said to the disciples right now, and they'd be like,
we sugarcoat it. Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I feel so hurt. It's leadership. God bless
you. I had a guy the other day from, he's not even in the Georgia district, but he was talking to me about the job of superintendent, whatever. And he said, I just want somebody to show me some respect.
Yeah.
And at first I'm like, oh, okay. But then it hit me. Wait a minute. You know what? I can't find anywhere in the New Testament where Jesus demanded respect.
No.
He didn't demand respect.
No.
Okay. You know what? They didn't show you some respect. All right.
Yeah.
It's them. It's not me.
Yeah.
I think we do get caught up in a lot of that stuff, and we allow our flesh to rule the day. And it's a battle, and I'm certainly far from perfect. I still have to, the carnal side of me wants to rear its ugly head.
Absolutely.
And so we got to keep, when Paul says, I die daily, we got to keep putting that flesh to death and allow Jesus to emerge in our spirits. And the older I get, the more I kind of understand those statements that Jesus made and statements that Paul made. Paul says, listen, I'm writing you a letter now so that when I'm with you, I don't have to tell you off. It's like, okay, well, I kind of understand that now.
Absolutely.
And so here you are, you're church planting and Greater Church. Man, you guys are growing leaps and bounds. You planted in 2017. COVID hit. What was that like?
It was terrifying. I think it was. It shook the fruit. All the spoiled fruit. That's what I like to say. It took all the rotten apples off the tree. And I don't mean people. I mean even in my life. One of the things that, even going back to what I was saying about understanding your design so that you can understand your destiny, I think even in my life, like, there was a lot of anger. There was a lot of aggression that I carried. I had this bravado about me where it was like, I'm going to make it no matter what. I don't care. And it was all of these things. And what God showed me, especially during the pandemic where I had time to slow down, is why do you say those things? Why do you think those things? And it wasn't the anger, the bravado. It wasn't this aggressive nature. It was fear. I'm sitting there, as most of us pastors did, with COVID at the house, watching the team take care of us Sunday morning while we're on our phones looking at the service. Yes. And I remember there was a cable on the ground and they said the wrong transitional words and things that we don't ever use. Newcomers, we never said that before. And so I remember writing in these big black bold letters, we need to have a meeting. Nobody cares about this church the way that I do. And I remember saying, I got to talk to this person. They got to get off team if they're not going to if they're not going to follow suit, they got to get off. And I started to carry this anger that I paused for a second. I remember clear as day, I sat on my bed and I said, God, why am I angry? And God said, you're not angry. You're afraid. And I said, why am I afraid? And he said, you think that somebody's going to see a cable on the ground on a live stream, or they're going to hear the wrong transitional phrase and they're going to say, I'll never go to that church. And what a lie from the enemy. But this is stuff that I had to mine out in my own heart, because I didn't have time when the pace of before the whole COVID thing, you're going and you're ripping and you're running and you're like trying to keep up with the Joneses and you're trying to do all of this stuff. And I got vision. I don't know anything else but vision. I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to build. But then it was like, I can't build nothing. Nobody even wants to come to church. In fact, it's inappropriate for me to try to build, because people will then say, oh, but you don't care about people's lives. And so I had to pull back. But then now I got self-awareness. Now I'm looking at myself and I'm smelling myself and I'm looking like, oh my gosh. And as I started to go through that process, and it's a book by Rob Reimer called Soul Care that literally just helped me to unpack a lot of those things in my life, where I was able to have self-awareness. Oh, that's why I do that. Oh, that's why the things that my mom spoke consistently over me were the things that shaped me. And I didn't know that. So I had to reroute some stuff and reframe it and really put it in context with God's word. But that's work that we do at this point, 4 years into a church plant. What would have happened if I would have did that, if it was part of my church assessment? What if I would have did that before I church planted? What if I would have went through this process and been healthier before I ever took the handle? It changes the game. It changes the game. It does.
Yeah, it does. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back for part 3 here in just a moment with Brother Cheno. We'll catch you in a little bit.